Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very 9th episode of Cool Down Timer. I am one of your hosts, Neefu, and with me today I am joined by Zingles Artman.
Warm and cuddly.
Warm and cuddly. That is his...
Can't repeat my catchphrase.
That is his new catchphrase.
It's against the rules.
So, Black Friday.
Oh, God.
Have you looked at any of the videos that have gone out after this year's Black Friday?
Do you know what I did on Black Friday?
What did you do on Black
I went
Friday?
shopping and I didn't know it was Black Friday. I was totally not paying attention and I went shopping and it wasn't bad. And I didn't realize till 2 days later that it was Black Friday.
Gosh. I actually ended up at the mall too. I had to drop off a ring payment.
Aww.
But so there have been a bunch of videos just going around online from Black Friday of people at Walmart basically killing each other
Walmart be tripping.
because of like the door busted deals.
Right.
I know there's one where this guy was holding up his phone and recording this big mob of people trying. No. This chick was getting arrested.
Really?
Yeah, and so this chick was getting arrested, and the end of the video is someone from Walmart telling him to turn off the camera or leave the store.
Really? Wow.
So that was
Interesting.
entertaining. Materialism, man.
Right.
We live in this culture of just like...
We sound like we're just like sitting in here smoking. Materialism, man. Our whole culture is so obsessed.
Our culture is built around the idea of needing to buy the next new thing in order to have the best new iPhone to show off in front of your friends because their iPhone is the last iPhone from the previousness.
Anyway.
And they dropped it on the floor and the screen shattered.
Oh, there's this great Portlandia sketch where she's got her iPhone and she drops it and it's like in slow motion as the iPhone's falling and she's flashing back to all these great memories and then she realizes like how terrible life's gonna be without the phone and all these situations and stuff and then it just hits the ground and doesn't break and she's like, oh, okay. She just picks it up and leaves. No, actually I think she falls over and shatters.
She follows?
Yes, that's what happens because it's Portlandia and they do weird stuff like that.
Oh, Portlandia. I watched 2 episodes of that. I really enjoyed some of it and absolutely despised
It gets consistently good later on.
Might have to.
Yeah, it gets really fun.
Go check that out then. But yeah, so materialism and consumerism and holy crap, man, our society is just screwed up with all this like must have the next greatest thing. So because I like social media and whatnot, I posted on Facebook, happy risk your life to save $20 day.
Right? Well, and I feel like that's like part of it. Like people get into like the whole competitiveness of it and stuff. So it's like the freaking Hunger Games everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I have avoided going out on Black Friday to actually do like the doorbustery like... I guess now it's get there at Thanksgiving at 8 p.m.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang!
Over the last like year or two, they've started moving Black Friday up a bit, so no longer is it like 5 or 6 a.m. on Black Friday or midnight. It's 8 p.m. on Thanksgiving.
Wow, when you should be with your family.
Yeah, no, and so there was this social critic or whatever. He dressed up as Santa and was on a motorcycle with like this microphone thing and speaker set, and he was just driving around the lines in front of stores saying, "You guys are ruining Christmas or Thanksgiving. You guys are pathetic. Go spend time with your families. You are ruining America. You are what's wrong with America."
That's awesome.
And some of them would just like cheer and laugh and yay and scream because they had no idea what he was saying. But he was insulting them.
Yeah. I've never had any wish to go out on Black Friday.
But this whole thing about Black Friday on Thursday night reminds me of something I discovered recently. I don't remember if we'd already talked about this on the podcast or not, but when I was looking into getting tickets for Catching Fire, I was like, oh, well, I'll check out the midnight showing tickets. I was like, what is this about an 11:30 showing? Wait, that's not a midnight showing. That's a And so I then popped a day back. They had 8 p.m. showings.
Really?
On the day before that Catching Fire came out.
That's weird. I don't know.
That ruins the fun of a midnight showing. There's nothing special about a midnight showing now.
Right.
Because the whole thing with it is, it's getting released in my time zone. I get to watch it now. No, now the release date is the day before.
Yeah, I don't know.
I find that stupid.
Yep. I don't know. I don't think I've ever been to a midnight showing.
Never been to a midnight showing? I've been to a good couple. I think the first midnight showing I went to, I believe, may have been for Harry Potter 7A.
Oh, okay. Fun.
Yes.
Fun. So you watched Pacific Rim recently?
I did see Pacific Rim recently.
What do you think of it? I really liked it.
I loved that movie. It was everything I expected it to be. And
right.
Like I had pretty high-low expectations for it.
Right.
And but I don't know what I mean by that is like I expected a movie where giant robots fought giant monsters. That was exactly what that movie was.
That movie was like a bad pizza. It was so delicious.
It was delicious. I loved that movie. Though I actually was irritated by the the black market
that
kaiju
story
part
arc
dealer.
Yeah.
He bugged me.
I didn't like that whole story arc with them.
And then the part where he pops out of the friggin' the corpse of the kaiju and is like, "Where's my shoe?"
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yes, I acknowledge that the movie is about giant robots fighting giant aliens. But he added a campiness to it because they were taking themselves so seriously, and the fact that they took themselves seriously was part of the fun of what was going on. But then you had this crazy campy character.
Yeah.
I was not impressed by him, and I think he was the weakest part of the movie.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I didn't like that whole story arc at all. Honestly, he was so cheesy. But the robots were fun.
No, I greatly enjoyed especially the fight scene. I think it was like an hour or 45 minutes into the movie.
Like the main fight scene.
Like the one where, you got the two kaiju show up for the first time together, and so they send out the 3 Jaegers to fight because they grounded the one Jaeger, and that whole fight scene was so cool.
I like the one where the part where he cuts the guy in half in slow motion in midair.
I don't...
it's the very end. That's how the fight scene ended.
Oh, I don't remember.
Where the flying guy takes him up in the air and he's like, whoa!
Oh, yeah,
and he cuts him in half. He's like silhouetted and like... I was like, wow. Yeah. This is straight out of so many animes.
Yeah, no, that was tasty. And then just the wings and the
yeah. No, it was funny because when I was looking at him, because I was looking at designs and stuff, I was like, that guy has wings. That seems really impractical if he's walking. And I didn't think anything of it. Then he starts flying. I'm like, oh, seems legit.
Yeah. That's
about right.
What else was I gonna say? I was gonna say something about something that had something to do with something, right? I know you were telling me that you really, really liked the Russian.
Yeah, I really like the design of the Russian Jaeger. Yeah, he had if you looked at him, he looked a little bit like one of those old diving suits.
The ones that the Big Daddies are based on.
Yeah. But like the positioning of where the cockpit and stuff on it was different than the other ones, and I liked it. And it was like a Mach 1 or something like that. So it was like older and looked clunkier, but. Hold on, I just realized something. Didn't the general guy get radiation poison from driving a Mach 1?
Huh.
Well, the Russians are dead. No one cares.
Well, yeah, because they were talking about how they defended their coastline with a Mach 1. Mach 1 or Mark 1? Mach 1? Mark 1?
I don't know. Mark.
Whatever. A first-generation Jaeger for all those years... And the reason that the general got radiation poisoning was because of the early Jaegers,
Because they didn't.
Wait.
They weren't thinking about it. He said.
Because weren't they saying that? Did they talk about the power? They did talk about.
Yeah, it was nuclear powered.
No, they because it was the reason that the the reason that the main guy's Jaeger was the only one that was able to work during that fight scene was because it was an EMP and theirs was nuclear versus the other guy, so that seems to imply that the other one wasn't a.
They'd already destroyed the Russian one by that point.
I'd have to look this up.
I know. Curious. No, because this movie definitely can't have any shortcomings or flaws.
Of course, yes, it could. They apparently had like this crazy, huge like backstory Bible before they created the movie.
Really?
Yeah, that like I believe they're looking into video games as well as either other movies or possibly a TV show. I don't remember what they had talked about, but they want to expand this franchise.
That's cool because I could dance to that. I could get down with that.
I think what we were talking about yesterday, a TV show that a prequel TV show about some of the earlier days of the whole stuff where they're having to fight Jaegers or fight kaijus all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. That reminded me of something. I remember and then I forgot. Oh, I remember now.
It was terrible radio.
I think that's your catchphrase. You have said that radio. In just about every episode.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah. So, sorry about last week's episode with... we didn't really think about it until after the fact that doing an episode entirely devoted to a visual medium would be a really bad idea in a non-visual podcast. So, yeah, there were a lot of links last week. A lot of links. So, apologies for that. We will try not to do podcasts about painting and art history.
It's not like we really plan these out, though. I mean, today we were like, all right, there's these two things we want to talk about. Let's fill up an hour.
Well, actually, they tend to bounce between
closer to
35 and 45 minutes.
Yeah. It's close enough to an hour. We spend longer than an hour recording them.
Yeah, and then we tend to have to cut some stuff out because we are human beings that make mistakes.
I don't. I'm just kidding. No, I just talk a lot less than you.
Depends upon the episode. So speaking of movies, I recently watched the Tinkerbell movie.
Oh, good God.
Secret of the Wings.
Ooh, fancy.
Yes.
That sounds terrible.
It wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't a movie that I would go out of my way to watch.
Isn't that like really bad CGI, like the whole movie?
No.
No?
It's not that bad.
Oh.
I mean, it wasn't anything to sneeze at. Is that the phrase?
Yes.
Nothing to sneeze at. Yeah. No, it was competent CG.
Well, that's fun.
But no, so my girlfriend and I, we have a kind of a thing in place where we take turns showing each other movies. This had to do with the stuff we've been talking about the last two episodes, where like she and I have very, very different interests and likes and whatnot, but we share life together. So we take turns choosing the movies, and that way we, expand our horizons in ways that we wouldn't normally do so. So I made her watch Before Sunrise, and she hated it. Absolutely despised it. Thought it was the most boring thing in the world.
Remember when we watched is that the first one?
Yeah.
We watched it together. We're both like practically cuddling on the couch, crying on each other's shoulders. Like,
dude, the third one is fantastic.
Really?
So there's a series of movies. The movies are Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight. And they're this series of romantic movies from Richard Linklater.
Linklater?
I believe that's his name, Richard Linklater.
That's a terrible name.
And so the first one has to do with this guy and this girl who meet on a train in Europe and just start talking. And so it's basically...
It's like 2 hours of nonstop character development.
Yeah, it's just chitter-chatter.
Well, character revealing, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the first 2/3 of the movie are like this is how I was then, this is me how, and then talking about backstory and stuff, and then like the last third of the movie is just like, oh my god, I love you. Oh, don't leave, and then they have to leave, and it's super sad.
And so they leave the ending crazy ambiguous, and so 9 years later in real life, the main actors of the movie and the director got together and made a sequel, which was Before Sunset. And it was another really good movie. I mean, it was a bunch of chatting. They reconnected, and there was a bunch of chatting, and they are very, very well done movies in my opinion. And then 9 years later, again, they made another one this past year, or that was released this past year, that was absolutely phenomenal.
How old are they in that last one?
40s?
No, okay.
I think they're in their 40s. And so I can only hope in another 9 years they'll have another movie to...
I love you still. We met on a train 40 years ago.
I think they're definitely worth watching, but you got to be in the right mood, because it's a lot of talking.
Yeah. No, I should probably tell the story. I got engaged this past week.
Speaking of romance.
Yeah. Me and my now fiance, we've been dating for 4 years, and last week I proposed and we got engaged.
Yay! You should give us the gory details.
Oh, so exciting, because we're both very exciting people. No, she's very kind of a shy person and didn't really want to do anything in public. She would have killed me if I proposed to her in public. Though I really wanted to like propose in like a movie theater screen or something, you know? Gosh. Just because she's worked in the movie theaters. Anyway, she would have killed me though. But so we went to this little park. It was a pretty little park, and there was a river, and there was no one there, which was really nice. There was just one jogger that just ran through, like, staring at us at this one point. He was one of the creepy old joggers, too, like the old guy with the white beard, and then, like, the red short shorts.
That reminds me of a jogger I saw the other day. He was just, like, in these crazy short shorts and this kind of skin-tight shirt, and he had the craziest mustache.
Oh, gosh.
It was like a hipster mustache on this old dude just... It was wonderful. Continue.
Anyway, yeah, so we were just kind of walking along the river, and it was fall, and there was this big old maple tree next to this little bridge that ran alongside the river, and there was all these like pretty red leaves on the ground. I was like, oh, well, this is the perfect place. So and I'd been trying to make it a surprise, because I mean, she knew that I was planning on proposing at some point. She knew that I wanted to marry her. And
Zingles and I are of the train of thought that if you're proposing, you probably already know what the answer's going to be. So it's not like it's a surprise in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and so the big thing for me was that I wanted it to be a surprise. So I was very stealthy, and I'm not like a super, super crazy person as far as like plans and stuff. I tend to stick with what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'll do the same thing over and over again, and that's fine with me and with her.
Habit.
Yeah, well, and that's fine with both of us. That's how she is too, and we don't mind. Every once in a while we'll try something new, but for the most part we stick with what we know. But I obviously wanted to do something a little bigger for this. And so I was going to propose on our 4-year anniversary, because I would get away with doing more romantic stuff. Like, okay, let's
without
go
it
to...
looking like...
Yeah, without it looking like
something's
suspicious. Because if I was just like, hey, this random day, let's go out and do all this romantic stuff randomly, like, that's way out of what we normally would do. She would be like, he's proposing.
Yeah.
And that would ruin the surprise. So I did it on our anniversary, but she ended up having to work on our anniversary, and I was like, well, that kind of screws up my plan. I was like, don't worry, we'll just celebrate our anniversary another day. I'm like, it doesn't matter as long as the day I can get away with the romance stuff. And so I'm talking to her, and I'm like, well, when's the next day you have off? And the anniversary wasn't for like 4 days. And she's like, well, I have tomorrow off, and then I don't work. I have to work every day for like the next week. And I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Okay, that'll work great. And so she kind of hangs out for a little bit, and then she ended up leaving. And like, I immediately called up Neefu, and I'm like, so the proposal thing got moved to tomorrow. Help me.
Yep. And so I was visiting my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, Zingles out, man needs our help.
Yeah, so they helped me figure out a restaurant and stuff, and
help him find the park. with the the
There's
path.
several little parks around that area, but that one was a great one, so it worked well. Yeah, but
We just gotta remember to keep facing the
I
microphone.
know.
We are not in the car anymore. We have found a location to record that is not in a car in a driveway. So we're having to get used to the new setup. We've got some gear on the way, but we don't know how long it'll take us to actually get it because we're both not the most, what's the word? Not affluent. We don't got much money. So it might take us a while to get all the gear, but we do have some gear on the way we're working on getting some gear on the way that will help increase the production values of the show, which will make listening a much more pleasant experience for you.
Then there'll be beautiful sounds pouring into your ear holes, and you won't have to complain.
Why, hello there.
Ooh, hi.
My name is Neefu,
And I'm Z.A.M.
and we're going to massage your eardrums into a state of ecstasy.
Please relax. Close your eyes. And imagine that you are on a beach.
In the Caribbean. What was that supposed to be?
I don't know. I'm massaging their eardrums.
I was like, it's a woodpecker, but they don't have woodpeckers in the Caribbean.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm engaged now.
Yay! It
It was like the most it was the most anticlimactic feeling of all time because we've been dating for 4 years, and for 2.5 or 3 of those we knew we were going to get married. So we got engaged, and I'm like, well, I don't feel any different because this is coming.
Yeah.
So it was not like a big exciting thing, and then the next day it was a lot more exciting. The day of, I was just like, okay. But we had a great time. It was a fun day, and I had the best steak of my life. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you were telling me about the restaurant. What was it? Claim Jumpers?
Yeah, man, they had a mean steak, and it just melted in my mouth.
Talk to me about. Because wasn't there also like there was like mashed potatoes and like milkshake?
It was well, she had a milkshake, I had a beer, but it was just a good meal. It was great mashed potatoes, and I had garlic cheese bread and steak, and yeah, it was delicious.
I love garlic bread.
Well, okay, so my fiance can't have gluten, which is in like everything, and so she can't have bread. She can't bread. So her meal came with garlic bread, and she was like, "Well, I can't have that." And our server was just like, "Well, do you just want him to have it?" And I got double garlic bread.
Oh, tasty! I love garlic bread.
Yeah. We had a great server. She was one of like the best servers I've ever had in a restaurant, but she kept telling these crazy stories of things that have happened. And she said that there was this one guy who he comes in like once a week, and he always comes in on like this super nice suit. And she said one day she was walking by him, and she tripped and dropped an entire tray of like salads on top of him.
Oh gosh.
And his entire suit was just covered in Caesar dressing. Like it was right on top of him. I'm like, dang, that would just suck. She was really embarrassed. It was hilarious.
What did he do?
He was a regular, so he didn't really... I guess he was a pretty good sport about it.
Yeah.
But he always gives her a hard time now. He still comes in like once a week. And she's like, he will not stop teasing me.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think the closest to ever being a regular somewhere I had was when I was doing running start at Pierce, the community college nearby. There was this gas station at the bottom of the hill.
I know that one.
And
See the crazy guy that walks around there? Did you ever see that guy? Okay, so I'm interrupting you. So there was a...
For once, it's not me doing the interrupting.
There's a mental institution not far from the school.
It's like a block away.
Yeah, it's like a block away. And there's this one crazy guy who walks around the town, and he has pants that are probably 3 times too big for him. And I always see him, I'm like, what is that guy doing? And he's like kind of fumbling with his pants, and then they just fall down. Like, dude, there were some crazy things that happened. Okay, so there was that guy, and then there was the jogger, the jogger guy who wore a skin tight, like full body spandex red, white, and blue outfit and jogged with a giant American flag.
Oh, gosh.
And he would run down the road every morning at the exact time I had to go to school. So this guy's just like pretending he's in like some kind of crazy something. Yeah. And he's just got this, and it's a big flag. It's not like a little flag. This is a big 3-4 foot long American flag that he's holding and jogging every morning. And then there was the guy with no pants.
So finishing my other story.
Go for it.
And then I've got another story about crazy people in crazy clothing. So yeah, I guess this story is kind of just anticlimactic after Mr. America.
Captain America.
Captain
America and the pantsless
wonder. Well, yeah, so the closest I ever felt of being a regular somewhere was at that gas station when I would get pizza every day for lunch.
I was a regular at a bar.
Never been a regular at a bar.
Yeah, they stopped carding me and it made me happy. It's like when you turn 21 and you're like, oh, I want to get carded. And then you're like, well, now I don't want to get carded anymore. It's inconvenient.
But yes, so this girl I was into once was really into ASL, American Sign Language. And so, I mean, I was really into this girl. And for one of her classes or something, she wanted to go to this... sign language. Well, I think it was a sign church or something, just to see what it was like. And so we went to this church. They had a sign language service, but there was this dude there. He was this big, huge, like gangsta looking dude with a giant purple and fur coat.
Are you serious?
I kid you not.
Okay. Continue. I gotta
Well,
first.
Okay. That was mostly, It was like this really bright, regal purple. He was this really tall, buff dude. There was like fur along like the top, and like it was. I
saw this guy. So I served food at the Seahawks game a while back for a couple times, and there was this guy who showed up, and this guy he was this kind of big, fat white guy. And he had this giant fur coat on and no shirt. And his chest was painted, I think. And he was like bald. And he had these great big, like jewel-rimmed glasses. And like 3 skimpily dressed women with him everywhere he went. I'm like, holy crap, you are like the pimpiest guy I have ever seen. God. He was hilarious. But he was like really nice when he came up and ordered. Yeah. He just cracked me up.
Don't have to be jerks.
Well, he just seemed like a real softie, but he came up like 3 or 4 times for different stuff. And he left me tips and stuff, and I was like, they're all ones. No. Anyway, but he was an interesting guy. The first time I saw him, I was terrified.
Understandably so.
But yeah, he was interesting. You get some interesting characters at those games.
What was the most interesting character that wasn't someone who was coming to like shave your sheep or whatever when you were working at the farm?
Oh gosh.
Like the most interesting person that came in.
Probably the pig guy.
No, I mean like...
Oh, you mean like an actual...
Like a customer person.
There was a guy who had never seen a cow. An adult.
You've talked about him.
What, on here I had?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta remember. There was that guy.
Because you don't re-listen to the podcast. You just do them and done.
There was this really cool Australian couple that came in. They were visiting from Australia. They didn't have any family in the area. They were visiting here just randomly. And they were here for like a month, and it was the last day of their visit, and they just kind of stopped by, and they were very Australian. But
weren't there also people who drove a electric car down there or something?
No, that was at my other job, which is like 5 miles away, and they drove an electric car into it, and it's like in the middle of the woods. It was at a zoo, and they drove this car into the middle of the woods to the zoo, and their battery was dead, and there was no recharging stations for... I don't even know how far away. Nowhere near, that's for darn sure.
I have no idea where the nearest recharger station is.
Yeah. They're like, well, do you have like just like an electrical plug? And they're like, not where you can drive a car to. Well, we've never seen one of these out here in these parts. And I mean, it's true though. I'm in kind of a little hick town.
And then there were the people who got pissed at you for it not being the proper location on the GPS or something.
Oh yeah, that guy, he was like yelling at me, and he told me I needed to go talk to my supervisors and get it fixed now because the GPS led him in a wrong direction. And I'm thinking user error, but I didn't say anything because I was a good employee.
Yeah, you've told me some fun, weird stories from your jobs working at hicktown zoos and farms.
For the most part, working at the zoo is terrible, but working at the farm is a lot of fun. I love it there. Well, besides the random people that I hate. But
at the zoo, you say you hated it there, but you weren't actually doing zoo stuff. You were standing in the parking lot.
I was a greeter. I was working at admissions for the zoo. So, I mean, I wasn't in the zoo, but I hated it, though, because it was the most boring job, and, like, I'm not one of the people that likes doing, like, I have to be doing something, like, if I'm working, or I'll go crazy. And that's one thing I really liked about the farm, is it's a very high-stress environment. You get there, you have a certain amount of time to get everything set up, and then you have hours and hours of tours, one on top of another, and then you're done. And it's just like, you're just done, you start breathing again, and you're like, oh, that's what oxygen feels like. And it smells like cow crap, and it tastes delicious. But, yeah.
The only time I've ever had, I think, an experience that I think I would similarly describe in the way that you worded that was when I went to some very loud concerts, and after the concert was over, and like the music's done and whatnot, and you're just sitting there listening. It's like, oh, that's what silence sounds
Yeah, I know,
like.
right? Okay. So, random story having to do with the farm. So at the farm, I have really, really, really expensive farm boots because I have to have good farm boots. And through the course of working at a farm, they start to smell like cow pee a lot. Well, we're on our like holiday break there. It's not open over the Christmas kind of season, so I haven't obviously been wearing them. They've kind of aired out. They don't smell nearly as bad. I cleaned them up a little bit because they're really comfortable. So I was wearing those when I proposed to my girlfriend. And so we're kind of hanging at that point. We were kind of walking around at this big mall. We're just hanging out and having a good time. We're walking around, and there's that guy that like shines the shoes there. And he's like cleaning the shoes, and he's like, "Hey man, I can do wonders with those boots." And I'm like, "You don't want to wash my boots." And he's like, "Oh, come on!" And I just kind of walked off because I'm like, I don't hate you enough. And we ended up going by him several times, and every time I walk by, he's like, "You gotta come over here. Let me shine your shoes, man. I can make those look beautiful because they're really, really worn down." And P will do that to boots. And he just did, and I was so close to just being like, you know what? Fine. Wash my freaking shoes, man. Because they were farm boots, and yeah, but I didn't. That's happened to me several times at malls. I'm just randomly.
I think the only time that I ever got pulled into something like that was one time I was rushing into the mall to try to take care of something, and I needed to get back out really soon. But for whatever reason, the person said it in just the right way to guilt me in just the right way. And it was like a lotion thing.
Oh, of course it was a lotion with you.
It was like, it may have been an Ahava station or something. Ahava is my favorite hand lotion that is
because you have a favorite hand lotion.
Dead Sea salts and minerals and stuff, and it's wonderful.
Ahava sounds like a cactus.
Well, on that wonderfully fantastic moisturizing note, I think we will leave you for this week. So if you would like to hear more of us, you can always listen to our back podcasts at either cooldownttimer.com or on Stitcher or on iTunes. A new episode will be available every Saturday. And you can follow the show on YouTube and Facebook at Cool Down Timer Podcast. We're also on Twitter. You can follow me on YouTube at youtube.com/Neefu. You can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Straight Up Neefu. You can follow Zingle's Artman here on Twitter and Facebook at Zingle's Artman. I believe those are the main important ones.
You can also email us at contactus@cooldowntimer.com.
Send us your questions, topics of conversation, movie suggestions. We actually did have a movie suggestion, though. It wasn't a movie suggestion, it was a mini-series suggestion, and we don't know if we've got time to do a mini-series at this point. So keep sending suggestions, preferably not 4.5 hour long suggestions.
Yeah, movies are good.
Movies are great.
Make everyone happy and great. Anyway, until next week.
Enjoy the Caribbean.
Catch you later.